I'm just doing a couple things. Yeah. There we go. So hello, everyone. Thank you for that lovely introduction, students. I am Tannese Williams, and I'm really excited because, I love, I still call it textiles. I know it's Jefferson University, but for me, it's always will be textiles. And maybe Philly U, because I have 2 degrees, one that says Philadelphia College of Textiles and Science, and one that says Philadelphia University. So I did my MBA there as well. So always thank you, Professor Wyatt. And thank you, Professor Juliana, for always inviting me back to the family. This time around, I wanted to really focus on what's new for me, and is the world of product management, right? And hopefully, I want to take you on a little journey, and then we'll start what's new and go into like the past. And by the way, it's Black History Month. This is the Pantone for the culture. I have to give props where props is due, because we have culture mug and all that. It wasn't for Black History Month as much as it's just for the culture, but it's Black History Month, so I put that up on my screen. I love a Microsoft, and I love these screens because we're all working remotely.
Oh, I love
I can
that.
change it up every time, but yeah, always trying to make sure we represent. So let me share my screen. I try to be a little colorful as much as I could this time. And I'm going to jump right in. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
We don't see a screen. Should be enabled. Let me see. Yep.
I did say share. Hold on, let me end real quick and make sure. Share screen. I'm gonna do screen 2.
We see it now.
Awesome. Okay. Let's go in. And I hope I get to see your faces. I hate when I go into, I see a few faces. Great. So I'm calling this Pantone Pathway to Success. Only because I think it's important. I've shared this with Pantone, and they agree to that. We definitely talk back to our schools, our design schools, to talk to the students that's coming into the workforce, to really give you an idea, a little snippet of what it is in the real life, in real world. And so this is something that they're very supportive of, and we're trying to do like a more unified effort. So it coming soon will be something that can be a part of maybe the curriculum, or in something that we do, not just me so per se, but you might get to talk to other colleagues and find out all the different aspects of what they do. I think will be fun. So I want to share with you a little journey into product management, Pantone style. And curious if anyone knows why I picked this particular color that we're looking at right now.
It's the
It
color
is
of
the
2022.
Yes, it is the color of the year. It's very Perry. It's a brand new color that is not even hasn't been in the original Pantone system, fashion home interior system. It's brand new. So I got to be here the first year that they decide to create a brand new color. So I got to see that process from start to finish. And I had to be part of the approval because it is affecting my department, which is fashion, home, and interiors. So I'm the product manager of fashion, home, and interiors. That means there's books, there's guides, the fan guides that we know and love, anything that affects the fashion industry, the home interior industry. that's my world, right? And it works because that's where I come from. I come from the fashion world and the textile world. So that's why I had to pay a little nod to Barry Perry. So let's get into what I actually had to do as a product manager. When I first got here in 2020, September, I had to learn all the products. There were products, way more products than I expected that I knew about. I thought I knew all about Pantone because I've worked with it for 20 years, but there was a lot in the portfolio. And as a product manager, you need to know all your products. And after you learn all the products, you have to develop different concepts, different ways on how to sell those products, right? Revenue is the leading factor in any major corporation, right? It's like we make all these things to help the industry, but also to make revenue. And how do you do that? You have to come up with a marketing strategy. So because we were in the pandemic, the biggest marketing strategy was, working from home. How do you help people that are now at home, working from home? What is the best way to market to them to tell about your products? So webinar was number one. So the concept too was like, what kind of webinar are we going to, what's the message and how do we really help people, designers, product developers, creatives at large, figure out how to work from home. So first slide was called Buttoned Up, Merging Your Physical and Digital Fashion Color Workflow at Home. Very simple, probably too long, but it was my first webinar. So this was me basically coming up with the concept. So the concept here, I called it the 4 C's. And this is basically bringing in my expertise of what I know pretty much in the fashion industry as a product developer. Product developer, and manager is the 4 C's. You have to have a concept, right? Your concept is telling the color story, and it's the inspirational part. This is like the fun part as designers or any creatives. For me as well, it's like, what color inspires, usually color starts the design process, right? Triggers inspiration. So for Pantone, it starts there. Then you have to create your palette. You have to take that inspiration and turn it into a realization, right? So how are you going to create the palettes? That's where I talk about the tools that help you create those palettes. So it could be, let's go back with concept. You're looking at trend books that, you're listening to Lori Pressman talk about color of the year and trend, or you're going through WGSN, or you're going on Fashion Snoops. All that is part of concept and getting your ideas. Create now, you need tools to help you do that. So that's kind of where I sit as product manager, right? Is to find what are the tools that's going to help them create that inspiration into reality. You need color guides, you need specifiers that can be perforated and taken out so you are looking at color in front of you. Now, if you're in the office, you would have these big libraries, you can take out all your books, but you're not at the office, you're home. So my job was to explain to everyone out there what they could use at our desktop that was easy to travel with, be home, maybe pop in the office here and there, or not. And you have to like make it work at home, right? So I came up with a few products that to me made sense. One of my favorite is still the Cotton Passport. Still one of my favorites. And I talked a lot about that in this webinar. I did a lot of demos. So there was me showing the product and I'm like, this is how you use it, guys. It was fun, but definitely toggling back and forth into presentation mode and live mode. It was interesting. And then we go to communicate. communicate is also where Pantone sits. So we give you the tools to create it, but what are you communicating? You're communicating the standards. And for Pantone, that is the numbers of the color, right? Maybe there's the name, names are fun, but the number of the color can tell the vendor, your production partners, I want exactly 19-4260, or, what's one of my favorite, Mediterranean blue, or Very Perry. That tells them right there, that is the exact color, and we give you the recipe. If you buy the standard, they give you the recipe and how to make it, right? So you know for sure that what you ask for is what you're gonna get. That's what makes a color system. It's not just, let me find this one color and give it to the vendor and pray that the mill know what to do and try 50 million lab dips to get to that color, right? It helps you reduce your lab dips. And as a colorist in my previous life, it's just unacceptable to go past 2 approvals. After 2, if you can't get it in 2 approval, I'm moving on to the next vendor that will get it, right? Because time is money. People really don't, it costs a lot, especially when you're dealing with China or different places in Asia, or now North Africa, those places, you're shipping, you're paying for FedEx back and forth to send little 2x2 swatches, right? Not the most efficient. So pointing those things out, really articulating what your value prop of your product is important. So communication to your production partners, like 3rd C, and then the 4th C is confirmation. That's quality control. That's when, if you're going to be a colorist or you're a textile technologist or those type of roles, those are the ones that are confirming that when they get the lab dip, it matches under the light booth, under the light box, in the spectrophotometer. You learn as a colorist how to use those machines. That gives you a spectral curve. All of that is part of product development. And in that team, you might have a colorist, it might be a designer doing it. It might be merchandisers, depending on how big or small the company is. You have to have an eye for color. You have to be trained for color and can go under the light box and see the difference between the color in different light source. So you got cool white fluorescent, which is usually store light. You have D65, which is daylight. There's some incandescence, but those 2 are usually the key. Cool white fluorescent's been the industry standard. It's what you see in the store. But what you buy in the store, right? It's a beautiful color. Maybe it's a hunter green. Then you go outside and you want to wear it and you think it matches the shoes you also have in hunter green, and it's daylight, it's D65, it's now an olive green. Metamerism, however you want to say. I like metamerism, but it's metamerism, I guess everyone calls it. It's like the worst thing ever for a colorist. It's the worst thing ever for a designer to see your final product in the store and it does not look as the color you intended it to be. So those are the things that I talked about in my very first webinar on how 4 C's make or break your product and why do you need the product I'm selling today to help you in your workflow. So that was the key message. And then also, when you're thinking about marketing, you want to think about how to get people excited about your product. So color of the year last year was illuminating, and what was the gray called? Anyone remember? Can anyone remember?
You can write it in the chat. If you don't want to say it out loud, you can try it.
Get a little shy. So there was a whole thing about, illuminating being the sunshine and like hope and positivity. But the gray, did anyone see it in the chat? I'll bust your bubble. So ultimate gray stood for like stabilizing, something to hold on to and to like as a core, right? So they've only done 2 colors in color of the year, like in all their, from 1999 to 2001, only twice did they do 2 colors, one in 2016 and then 2021 was these 2 colors, just to, really grasp what's going on in the world. And color of the year is always something that is taken from what's happening in society at the time, research and the global atmosphere, the feeling at the time, as well as trends in fashion and in home and in lifestyle. All of that comes to, how they come up to this color of the year. And it's PCI that does it. I should mention that because it's really someone asks a question and we'll get back to that. But PCI, the Pantone Color Institute, is a group of professionals around the globe that come up with color of the year. So it's not one person, it's like, I think 7 of them, right? Who are industry leaders in their own right? Lee Eisman being like probably the most popular, but David Shaw that write many books. You definitely want to, go into their record of like viewpoints, color, books, all they've written. It's really interesting. So to toggle back on how popular it was that, oh my gosh, there's 2 colors in Pantone Color of the Year this year. We came up with an idea of the design contest using you had to use the Color of the Year palettes. And to tie it in back to my products, the winner got the library. So this is like the Cadillac or the Tesla or, whatever your top tier car is, it's like that for FHI. It's $8,400 to invest in this, right? So it was the prize winner would get this library. And then the second prize got the chipset, and then the third winner got the passport, which is still pretty pricey. It's like $700 for this thing. So another marketing part of being a product manager, you have to think about how you're going to market your product. So we tied into a design contest to really get the buzz out, get the designers excited. We reached out to students. I hope some of you might remember, because I definitely was like, make sure Jefferson University has, you got all the information on how to apply and put in for this. And, because I know a few designers, I did enlist my barter system to design some examples to give people an idea what they would, what they should be doing and follow the rules or such. So it was really fun. It got a lot of notice. It was great marketing, social media, everyone. And we got a lot of, I think it was like over 600 people registered to design. And we had to make, I was one of the judges. It was very hard to decide who should win first, second, and third, because there was a lot of great entries. But for me, it was a win because it brought interest to the site. I got really good, returns on the webinar and the contest. So people were buying the products, right? They believed in, this will help me for working from home. So how do you rate success? You rate it not just by revenue, but it was up to 20%, which is like amazing, anything in the double digits. But also how much feedback, how much engagement, how many people put eyes on your site is also a level of measuring your success rate. So that was my first one. The second one, I decided, okay, I don't want to talk the whole time of a webinar. If we still have to do webinars, and there's a thing called KPIs, which basically when corporate company decide this is what we're doing, so now you're going to do webinars. So they'll give you that direction, but it's up to you as owner of your products, how you're going to interpret that. So for the second time around, I really wanted to have a conversation. So I called it Conversations on Color. I want panelists. and we're going to talk about things. It's not just going to be me telling you, here's my product and this is why you should buy it and love it. So this one was fun because combining polyester and cotton colors and athleisure. I come from the athleisure world as well. So I'm in my comfort zone. I'm getting to talk about textiles, which I love that. But we had this polyester book that even I didn't know Pantone had up to a year ago. And I'm like, Pantone had a polyester book. No one knew about it. Let's talk about it. Let's tell people about it. But once again, how do you do that? You find a concept of how to tell the story. And then you find ways to highlight the slow moving product. And for me, I like creating opportunities. So I pulled a few fun people to help tell the story. So I had Jerome Lamar, who's a fashion designer. I mean, he's more than that, a friend for many years too, but also a trend director, owner of his own company. And I'm like, and he's definitely would be great to talk about athleisure because he was debuting his new line that had athleisure. So we had the design. Then I wanted someone that talked a little bit more technical on why poly versus cotton. When do you need both? So I enlisted a colorist that was with the N Inc. for many years. Very, sturdy in the industry. So Dory was on the panelist to bring that technical flavor. And then Francesca Banca was our supplier of the polyester in Italy. So what I wanted to do was create an opportunity to show diversity within the industry, right? Have some educational aspect to that, and diversity in who we talk to. So I had an international audience. Remember, when you think about what you're doing, you should think about it's not just the state or this country you're representing. You want to talk to it's a global market, right? And as we pursue, you'll see that the globalism has been around for many, many years, but now global is becoming very local. So global is like the new local in my world, right? So you want to talking to someone from Italy is just like talking to someone from Jersey, right? Might be even easier from New York to Jersey on a wrong day, cutting over that bridge. So I did this panel discussion and decided that Conversations on Color really is a good platform. People get more exposure of what you do. So this was really fun. We got a lot of feedback. I just put this one in because Jerome has a great Instagram. So the Instagram was blowing up. People wanted to talk to him more. And I'm always about creating opportunities for creatives in the industry. So I have a platform, use it. That's what I say. Never be scared to really express yourself and open the door for others. So I followed through with that with the next webinar, but this one was called The Great Debate. And here we're really trying to talk about digitalists versus traditionalists in the future of color. So what does that mean? We talked about 3D design. We talked about Clo 3D was on our panelists. So, we're always talking about partnership and where future fashion is, where future of the color industry is. So this was really fun. So we had Deepa Gurnani, which is a really beautiful luxury accessory designers in New York, but they make everything in India. So there was this globalization going on there. And they're very traditional because they do everything by hand. All the beautiful pieces were done by hand. They, pick a color swatch and, everything's tactile versus Clo, where it's like everything is VR, it's 3D. It's all about, you don't have to make 50 million prototypes. Do it once on a 3D level and make your decision, maybe have, no prototypes. It's amazing, right? So having that discussion and people. So we had a fun time and we came up with what did we had in Word. We should have hashtag it because it was like digitalist versus coming together with traditionalists. So I think we call it traditional, something like that. We're like, oh, we're gonna combine the two.
I like
so,
that.
Yeah, I can't say it right now.
I like that. Can we use that, Tannese?
Use it, hashtag it, do,
All right, we're gonna use it.
Good. You preserve the culture, preserve, the beauty of the color and the fabrics and all that. And I love touching and feeling fabrics and all that. But, also putting together with some of this new way of technology, don't be afraid of technology, it enhances your design, your art. So you get into a lot more places too, where you can't really travel and you can't do the protos in wherever. You can do a Clo or any other 3D services that can really help that situation. So working from home worked out really good. So as we keep going, we're doing a few conversations on color, and it's like, there's some things you want to always think, what is new, what is next? So one of the things I did was, we should do some featured articles on the website with video. They've never done that. So it's on the website still. I put the link in here. This is another reason why I should embrace technology, because I was hoping the link was going to work, but it doesn't. So imagine if this link was here, I could just press play, you would see this video. So what this was revolutionary at the time, because I had to get this approval process to put a video as an article. So there's a little article, a little content, but if you go to Pantone.com and you go to articles and all this, there's product spotlight, there's a express yourself in color. We have this wonderful designer that I worked with way back at Rockaware. And when we had a couple brands, but one of the brands was, let's see if anyone even remember. Let's see if they know who it is. So it was called 8732. Does that ring a bell to anyone? You could put it in the chat, like 8732. One more hint, the logo was a snowman. Anybody have an idea whose brand that was?
I'm looking through all the faces too, and I don't even see a smile.
I don't see, yeah, I'm like, but okay, but it was a rapper. I won't tell you what 8732 actually means, but it was a rapper. It was Young Jeezy. I don't know if y'all remember, but Jeezy had a line for a hot second. Except he really liked black on everything. He's the guy that's saying, my president's black, my car is black. I don't know if you remember that. It was not that long ago, guys. I mean, really. Maybe it was long ago. Never mind. But look it up. Google it. So anyway, this is the designer, Omar Germain. Actually, he's the designer that came up with the Rockaware Flame. He's the designer that was the head designer of Iniche, right? So when Urban Market was first in, early 90s, Omar Germain is like a icon in design world for the Urban Market. He started a lot of brands, right? And I thought that it was time that, they get a little bit of recognition. And they've always used Pantone products. So I reached out to him to do a video. So this was a 3-minute video that we had to edit to about 1.5 minutes. But it gives the story of how he uses my products, right? So it's a fun read. Check it out on there. But this is when I say you got to always think of it something new. Just because something has never been done before, as a product manager, it's your products. You have to figure out ways to highlight this. So I didn't create this as a specifier, but it was definitely just sitting there, not getting the attention it deserved. And I know we use this book in the industry every day. We're ripping out, those are the ones that the swatches rip out, the paper, and we're losing the swatches. We're always have to order another page. It's part of the process. And it's like, we need to show how you use this. So this was really fun. So that happened in August. So I'm coming up to my close to, a year. And, I'm like, okay, I think I've done some webinars. It's been great. But as a product manager, guess what you have to do? You got to create new products, right? It's great that these products came out in 2020, but it happened right at the beginning of the pandemic. So no one knew about it. So it was my job to let people know about it. So a lot of it was a lot of marketing, which is good because that was my major in my MBA, my minored in marketing. So it was like coming up with ideas. You have to just have ideas and try them out. Not all of them might not work, but you got to try. But the biggest part of being a product manager is making a new product. So this is my baby. When I say it took me 9 months to bring this to life, it's technically my baby. You have to develop the concept to production. So you have a concept. Where do you get that from? You find a need and you fill it. That was actually my grandmother, great grandmother's advice to me, like find a need and fill it. Whatever it is in your personal life, with people, in your job, as a product manager. What was happening is, people needed something small and portable. And so the idea, I had this this is the cotton passport, right? And it's great for fashion designers, anyone that's working in fabric. What about the other designers that's not working in fabric? They're working as product designers for handbags, shoes, furniture, laptop cases, gaming devices, anything that's not fabric, right? We have a product, it's called a paper TPG, but it's like in a specifier, it's in a big book, you're carrying things around. So I'm like, we need something that is easy to carry, like the passport, but it's for all the other, actually the bigger segment of the market is product designers, because they do everything. You might not work in textiles, you might want to work in ceramics, you might want to work with rubber and all kinds of fun things that people are creating, right? So we need something for them. So came up with, that was the need. Then you have to have that concept, and then you have to have buy-ins with the company that you're working for, right? Cross-functional teams, because who's going to make this product for me? As a product manager, you're not really making anything. It's not like product development where you're probably the one picking the fabric and changing the yarn size and really defining every detail on the hands-on part of it. Product managers like really having the concept and then working with cross-functional team, maybe a product developer, maybe an R&D, product R&D department to get your vision into a product. So you have to get buy-ins with every department to say, we like this idea and we're willing to invest our time and energy into making your fun idea come to life. And then when you do that, then you got to get the senior leadership, right, to agree that, yeah, this is a good value prop and we could probably make some money off of it. It can last in the market. It's not a one normer, right? So you have to have your persuasive, when you're doing those English classes and they're like, do a persuasive essay, do an informative essays, like all of these things click back on. I'm like, because no one works for me. Like as a product manager, no one, the manufacturer, the ops team, operations, they don't report into me, they report into the GM, right? The R&D department that's doing the lab dips and checking the color and, mixing the inks, they don't report to me. They have their own boss, but they're making a product for me. So I'm literally their customer. So I have to get them to want to work for me, want to take on that project, right? So there's a lot of persuasive argument and then there's facts. Like, here are the numbers. I did what they call the VOC, which is voice of customer. So a lot of times I'm interviewing people in the industry to say, do you really need this? Or what would you like if you could? How would it make it better for your workflow? What, is there a pain point? Is there a challenge in, what you're doing working from home? What do you need in your life? So those are the kind of questions that we interview voice of customer to get that. And part of that process is called the Kaizens, like doing Kaizens, which is actually a Japanese term that means continually improving. And many companies, corporate, not necessarily in fashion, because I didn't hear about this till I got here, but pharmaceutical companies, big corporate companies, they use this Kaizen terminology or Kaizen way, continuously improving. There's other ones, I think there's the 6G, 6G or something, but there's different things, but they're all pretty much, there's a process to do everything. So you do your VOC, then you're gonna source how you're gonna use it, where you're gonna get your material, who's doing the job for you. And then you can go into production, and then you go into marketing, the marketing game plan 6 months before this product is even done. You don't even know if the product is gonna make it. You have to have your plan already in. So we do Kaizens, we meet with everyone, we have a check-in, you check with the vendor. So a lot of things can happen, but at the end, you get to launch a brand new product, right? And there's a lot of things in there that's like blood, sweat, and tears. You're gonna find vendors that say, oh yeah, I can do that for this price. And then you say, okay, I'm gonna give you the job. And then like, oh, we had to double it because of COVID is like the biggest answer last year. It was supply chain management, the supply, the gas, the oil, the paper went up, everything went up. Paper went up, oil went up, fabric, it was just so much going on. They double the price. Or you get a vendor, you finally find someone that's, sticking to their price. You've done you've done all the contracts, you've talked to all the legal department, and then they pull out of the deal because they know they cannot deliver. So then you have to find a whole new thing. All of these things happen to me, by the way. So once you get to, sourcing ends and production start, that means you've locked in who are your true partners. Then you can really start marketing. And that too comes with your idea and then reaching out and helping. So I went through to PCI, to Lori Pressman, who is like the best. When it comes to color of the year, everyone knows who she is. She's the one making thousands of people come to her webinar. I'm like, one day, I have hundreds, she has thousands. So, but she's been doing it a little longer than me. But I go to her and I'm like, help me, how do we get this out? So we work with agencies outside and internal and come up with, we keep color moving is the tagline for this product because it's called the Paper Traveler. What do you do with Traveler? You move, you go places. So if this just happened, when I say just, we debuted this in January. So January 2022, new product, very proud of it. How do we do this? I bring back my conversation on color because that works, right? So you start to get things in your toolbox and you pull out what worked, you test what didn't work. I'm like, I don't need to talk about my product for 50 million hours. Let other people talk about it. So this year, I wanted to really expand when you think of color, it's not just fashion. So I got a nail artist from North Carolina that do, nails. Nail is a fashion accessory. That they use color, check. They use acrylic, check. Does Pantone TPG works on anything coated? It coats anything in color. So that's your nails as well. Is the industry booming? Is it finally getting recognition? Yes, check. We did the research. We're gonna have Gabby on our panel discussion right here in North America. Now, We go to Italy. We found this Lumbrello, awesome furniture. All he does is chairs, but it's the most colorful chairs. We do these research and we're looking at IG, we're looking at websites, we're looking to see who has the spirit of interest that I want to have a conversation with. His personality, you could tell off the page, just his hair alone. I was like, this is an interesting person. And why did he choose just chairs? I have all the products, as an architecture major, that's what he was. He found his way into just making this perfect chair in many colors. And then, so we had Lumbrello, Andrea from Lumbrello. And then, remember we're global, so I have counterparts in different areas of the world. So in EMEA, which is the European market, but it's also Europe, Middle East, and Africa. We think about London, Paris, Italy all the time, but I'm like, let's go a little further into, the rest of the world. And we came up and found Yesenia from Trendboro, who was in Moscow, Russia, right? And I'm like, now this is what you talk about, travel around the world. This is the first leg. I'm going to do another webinar, which will tackle APAC region, which is Asia Pacific, Australia, and all that. And India is a huge market. So next week, I'll be talking to India. Wish I could be there in person, but I will be in India next week talking about the traveler once again, because it's a huge market, emerging market. So this is, when you're doing your research, you have to think about, the needs you're filling and then how you're going to do it. And you want to do it in a fun way. So it's, for me, this is fun. I love talking to creatives. I love giving people platforms to share their creativity, right? Yesenia, it was doing NFTs. So NFTs, the latest, hottest thing. Everyone, you guys probably have already made your own NFTs because it's, what y'all do. But it's like, we would love to learn how you can do that. And she made a great presentation on, she needed this traveler book because she's talking to 50 people around the world. So it was like 99 and she brought it down to 50 students your age around the world that wanted to craft NFTs and not just do it digitally, but then also make it into an actual product, right? So now, whatever surface that is going to be, you have the traveler. And where's my baby? Did I lose my baby? Oh no, here she is. So the traveler, everyone could have one because it's reasonably priced. I had to make it under 500. I made it happen. So everyone that was on the team could have it and pick all their colors, right? And this is really showing how it's coded. So it doesn't matter what the substrate is, you're gonna know its accurate color. So wherever you're telling the vendor, the mill, the maker, they know you're gonna get exactly 1942, 1, 2, that color on your product. So it was so much fun to do this, and it's just started, right? It's January. So every month I'm going to be talking about this traveler for the rest of the year. Somewhere in the world, the traveler will pop up. And maybe, maybe there'll be a designer or a student somewhere that says, oh my God, I was inspired and here's my thing. And then I can highlight them on social or on the website to say, hey, look how this is being used. I think it's perfect for emerging designers and people that's just want to get into, maybe can't find the $8,300 book set, but all the colors, 2,625 of them are in this cute little book, or in this cute book. So you got one for the fashion designers that are definitely all about fabrics and textiles, love you, but I also love the ones that's not textiles, but also product designers that's doing crazy things and all in between. So NFTs and digital, all of that. So it's fun. And that's kind of how we have to go into mindset of product management, right? So that's a little version that brought me all the way up to the year that I've been at Pantone, right?
Tannese,
So,
I have to interrupt because we're actually out of time, and they
oh
do
my
have,
gosh,
I know, and they have another lecture at 6, but I know that so many of the students are dying to talk to you. So would you be okay with them linking in with you? The rest of the students that didn't already do their research on you, would you be okay with them linking in with you?
sure thing, no problem. Because I wanted to get to some of the questions that you sent. And, you know, I was like, I'm going to answer, but I did answer a lot in the chat, in this deck. So you can have the deck for sure. And oh, I was having so much fun. So
You were
any
excellent.
questions,
You were
definitely reach out to me. I think some of you did because I saw some new LinkedIn requests, but I'm always here to help. If there's one thing I can say, just, you know, the difference between a product manager and a product developer. Product developer, you're part of that team. You're in, you know, you're probably starting it, you're doing the creative and you're hands-on. Product management, you own the whole thing. You are the owner, you know, and you will use a product developer, you might use a marketing person and all that, but it's you own that. So you own the highs and the lows, right? So it's a big responsibility, but at the end of the day, you know, you get to create something and see it from start to finish. So I think that's one of the questions that was in the chat. And, you know, maybe my dream will be PCI and I'll be the one talking about the color of the year for the next 40 years. So we'll see.
Thank you
So
so much.
thank you, everyone.
Yes,
So
thank
lovely.
you so much for being here with us. Please give Tannese a round of applause. We love having you. We love hosting you, and hopefully we can do that on campus again soon. We look forward to hosting you. We love your background. We are so proud of all of your successes and wish you, continued more 9-month creation babies over at Pantone. So thank you so much for sharing it all with us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Enjoy the next one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.